Welcome to today's Explainer. I'm really thrilled to have you here for the strategic deep dive. Today, we're taking a hard look at a massive operational bottleneck that literally almost every single scaling B2B business faces. I'm talking about Know Your Customer, or KYC, compliance. We're going to see how outsourcing this incredibly critical function might actually be the most effective strategic lever you can pull this year to scale your core business. We've taken the service architecture from S+ Compliance Services and distilled it into a clear, actionable roadmap for you. So let's just dive right in. Okay, here's how we're going to dismantle those KYC headaches today. First up, we'll look at the KYC resource problem. Second, we'll talk about putting compliance on autopilot. Third, we'll cover the 4 KYC pillars. And finally, number 4, transparent processes and costs. So, Section 1, the KYC resource problem. This is really the ultimate operational pain point. The reality of today's regulatory environment is captured just perfectly by this quote. KYC is no competitive advantage, but a regulatory necessity. Think about it. Your clients don't choose to do business with you because you have the absolute most beautiful KYC paperwork, right? They choose you for your actual product or service. But at the same time, meeting these regulatory requirements is absolute table stakes. There's no getting around it. The problem is, every hour spent internally on repetitive, manual identity checks is an hour actively stolen away from growing your actual business. It's totally a necessary task, but let's be honest, it doesn't move the needle on your revenue. Which brings us to a slightly uncomfortable question. Why are your highly qualified resources tied up in it? I really want you to genuinely reflect on this for a second. You've got brilliant, expensive talent sitting there on your payroll. And when they're trapped chasing down identity documents or trying to verify some multi-level corporate structure or filing endless compliance reports, they're performing non-revenue generating tasks. Honestly, it's like you're using a sports car to do the grocery shopping. Just compare a traditional in-house setup with an optimized outsourcing model like S+P. Doing it in-house, it's time-consuming, highly repetitive, and a massive drain on your internal resources. Outsourcing, on the other hand, gives you immediate operative relief. Plus, it's inherently scalable. That means if you suddenly onboard 10 times the clients next month, your internal team isn't going to totally collapse. It acts as a plug-and-play solution. Getting this off your plate is really the ultimate strategic maneuver for operational efficiency. All right, let's move on to Section 2, compliance on autopilot. So what exactly is the S+ KYC service? Well, it's a comprehensive, fully digital and outsourced solution for your KYC checks. But I want you to pay really close attention to the second part. It features a continuous audit trail, and that is absolutely massive. It means they completely digitize the entire documentation process for you. Every single check, every verification, every risk assessment is meticulously tracked. So you know when the auditors finally come knocking, you don't end up with a huge headache. You just hand over a perfectly compiled, easily accessible digital trail that proves your compliance right then and there. And they aren't just, blindly checking boxes here. They're actually navigating some incredibly strict regulatory frameworks. We're talking strict adherence to the EBA, the European Banking Authority, guidelines, which includes super careful documentation of risk factors. They also utilize these massive, comprehensive global databases to perform checks all over the world. Plus, they meet the notoriously rigorous German BaFin requirements, especially for their Video-Ident services. But maybe most importantly, they bring specific B2B expertise to the table. That means they genuinely understand the totally unique challenges of verifying complex corporate entities, rather than just dealing with individual retail consumers. Moving right along to Section 3, the 4 KYC pillars. Pillar 1 is efficiency. And this goes right back to that sports car analogy we talked about earlier. By letting actual compliance experts take over the tedious manual tasks of customer identification and verification, you instantly free up your internal teams. You're saving so much valuable time that can now be hyper-focused entirely on your core business operations and, actually scaling your revenue. Then we have Pillar 2, which is expertise. Let's be real, B2B KYC is not simple stuff, especially when you're trying to track down an ultimate beneficial owner, or a UBO. S+P leverages their really deep B2B experience to handle seamless global checks and manage those crazy, complex, multi-level UBO structures. I mean, if you have ever tried to manually untangle a corporate ownership structure that somehow spans across 3 different countries just to find out who actually owns the company, then you know exactly how absolutely vital this specialized expertise is. Moving to Pillar 3, data security.
Now, obviously, when you outsource KYC, you're handing over some incredibly sensitive customer data. It's a big deal. But S+P maintains extremely strict adherence to privacy regulations, and they utilize state-of-the-art security technology. It basically means your customer data is protected by literally the absolute highest digital standards available today, which massively mitigates your own internal risk.
And finally, Pillar 4 gives us the proof to back all that up. Verified security and quality certifications. They've got IDWPS 951 for an effective internal control system. They hold ISO 27001 for information security, plus ISO 9001 for reliable data processing. They even hold an EcoVadis bronze rating for ESG. But the real standout here, the big one, is ISA 3402. That is the international gold standard for outsourcing providers. Seeing that builds immediate regulatory trust and proves without a doubt that their processes are totally airtight. All right, Section 4. Transparent processes and costs. Let's get into the numbers. So, okay, the system is secure and efficient. That's great. But as a B2B decision maker, I know you need actionable upfront pricing. You want to know what this actually costs. Well, the cost structure here is incredibly straightforward. It's tiered by the complexity of the UBO, again, the ultimate beneficial owner structure. So a simple single-tier UBO, that's just 213 euros. A two-tier jumps up to 371 euros. A three-tier structure is 539 euros. And then for those incredibly tangled, multi-level, complex structures, they just provide customized pricing for you. But the point is, you know exactly what you're paying for right out of the gate based on the complexity of the specific corporate client you're trying to onboard. There's no hidden fees here. It's just highly predictable compliance costs. And you know what? That scalability applies directly to their Video-Ident service as well, which, remember, fully meets those ultra-stringent German BaFin standards. If you're doing up to 100 cases, it's 44 euros per verification. But watch how the price drops as your volume scales up. Between 101 and 1,000 cases, it falls down to 31 euros. Over 1,000, it drops all the way down to 18 euros, with custom pricing if you go beyond that. It's literally designed specifically to scale precisely alongside your own business growth. Now, as for implementation, it's actually shockingly simple. Step 1, you just make an inquiry to discuss your specific, unique organizational needs. Step 2, you receive an individually tailored offer that's designed to be the absolute best possible solution for you at the best price. And Step 3, you simply conclude the outsourcing agreement. That agreement, by the way, is exactly what legally ensures your compliance with all those regulatory requirements. It really is a rapid, completely frictionless onboarding process. They just want to get you compliant and back to doing actual business as fast as humanly possible. So that leaves us with one really vital final question for you today. Is your current compliance setup actively hindering your core business scaling? Think about it. If your absolute best people are buried in a mountain of identity paperwork right now instead of driving revenue, the answer is pretty likely yes. It is time to stop wasting those incredibly valuable resources. The source materials strongly suggest initiating a KYC efficiency scan today, just to see exactly how much time and money you could actually save. Well, thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this structured look at outsourcing compliance has sparked some incredible ideas for streamlining your own operations. Until next time, keep learning and keep scaling.